The episode begins with Twilight receiving a letter from Celestia, informing her that she and her friends have been assigned to help prepare a royal wedding in Canterlot between Princess Miyamori Cadenza and Twilight's brother, Shining Armor. Now thankfully there's no jealousy or rivalry going on between the two like you see in countless other TV shows. On the contrary, Twilight and her brother actually seem to have a pretty great relationship. Twilight's still pissed off though, because despite Shining Armor being so important to her, the two haven't seen each other in forever, and she had no idea what was going on in his life before suddenly receiving the invitation to his wedding. And amazingly, everyone in the audience feels exactly the same way right now. The same could also be said for the other main five, as they've clearly never heard of him either, and they especially don't know that he happens to be captain of the Royal Guard. Yeah, those guards who we've seen all over the place throughout the series, it turns out they all answer to Twilight's brother. I'm sure there is no situation where that would have been useful information before. But even with his wedding coming up, Shining Armor still has a job to do. It seems that a threat has been made against Canterlot, and Celestia has ordered him to maintain a force field around the entire city. He takes some time for his little sister though, as Twilight confronts him about this Princess Cadenza who she's never heard of. But it turns out the princess actually used to take care of Twilight when she was younger, going by the nickname of Cadence. Ah dude, you were doing the babysitter? Really? Wait, does that even count as cliche? Nah, whatever. We get a flashback of Cadence where we find out that she's actually really nice, and her special talent revolves around love-based magic. You know, this looks very familiar. Didn't they say this kind of spell was bad back in Hearts and Hooves Day? But I guess it's supposed to be good here because she's using it on the storyboard artist. Okay. Back in the present, Cadence makes her appearance, but this Cadence is a lot more stuck up and rude than Twilight remembers. And most suspiciously of all, she doesn't seem to remember Twilight's butt from the game they used to play. You know, I would say the plot thickens, but it looks just fine from here. Zing! Anyway, most of the others just pass off Cadence's rudeness as simply being expected behavior of a princess. And you know, it's the end of the season, so that means it's time for Luna to show up again. Oh, Luna. Even though you were clearly added in post-production, seeing as how no one else in the show even acknowledges your existence, I don't even care at this point. I'm just glad you're here. Twilight tries to talk to her brother about Cadence's behavior, but the final straw comes when she sees Cadence perform what appears to be a mind control spell on Shining Armor. At the wedding rehearsal, Twilight flat out says that Cadence is evil, but Shining Armor explains that what she saw was a healing spell, as maintaining the force field has been giving him migraines, and that her behavior problems were most likely brought on by the stress of having to plan the entire wedding on her own, with Shining being too busy with his own responsibilities to the palace. And you know, that's actually a pretty decent explanation. Maybe Twilight was feeling jealous. Maybe she was just imagining all the strange looks on Cadence's face. I mean, heck, it's one of those rare moments where even Celestia looks upset with her. In fact, she starts to doubt herself so much that she gives Cadence a sincere apology. But it turns out she was actually right all along. Cadence traps her in a magical fire bubble and moves her to a cave somewhere below the palace. Here she finds the real Cadence, who's been imprisoned as well, and learns that the one she saw before was an imposter. Working together, Twilight and Cadence make their escape, and the imposter shows her true form, which looks like a cross between a pony and an insect. In the episode, she is known only as the Queen of the Changelings, though apparently in the script she was named Chrysalis. And I have to admit, the designs for Chrysalis and the Changelings kinda give me the same vibe as Gremlins. Hell, back when I was a kid, I never even knew Gremlins 2 was supposed to be a comedy because these things scared the hell out of me. And somehow they've managed to combine that with ponies. Anyway, with the force field taken down, the changelings begin their invasion. It seems that these creatures feed on the love of others, which they do by attacking and scaring the hell out of everyone. Yes, let us feed on your love, your gooey, sticky love. I have no idea what you're talking about. Darn it, I was waiting for the right time to say something, but now you've gone and made this all weird. Celestia steps up to defend her kingdom, but Chrysalis is too powerful. Twilight and the others go to retrieve the elements of harmony, and one epic battle later, they get defeated as well. Ultimately, it's Cadence who comes to the rescue, freeing Shining Armor of the mind control spell. He's too weak to create another force field, so Cadence tells him to use her love for strength, which Chrysalis says is ridiculous. And okay, yeah, it's pretty cheesy to say in real life, but in the context of the show, why is this ridiculous? Cadence's magic is based on love, and the changelings themselves feed on love to increase their own magic power. In fact, they're both doing pretty much the same thing, but in reverse. Or were you just hoping she'd give up by making her feel bad? In any case, Cadence and Shining Armor show what happens when their horns touch. You guys do know there are children watching, right? And a new barrier is created that throws the changelings clear out of Equestria. In the end, Shining Armor and Cadence get the wedding that was promised, and Celestia tells Twilight that she should always trust her instincts. Really, Celestia? Really? I mean, her instincts about Cadence were right because they knew each other personally, but Twilight's instincts tend to get her in trouble more often than not. I mean, it's not a bad lesson, it just needs a bit more context when you consider who we're talking about. Still, this was a top-tier episode. There are flaws to be sure. It's not really clear how the changelings feed on love when all they ever do is act like scary monsters, and even though the show practically lives by the retcon, it still feels like they're pushing things more than usual when you think about Shining Armor's role in the grand scheme of things. But when compared against what the episode was trying to accomplish and how well everything was handled overall, any complaints here ultimately feel like nitpicks. There was a lot of great action, the villains felt like a genuine threat, the story was solid, and I really liked the new characters. I mean, I actually cared about Cadence and Shining Armor, and because of that, I also ended up getting really invested in the wedding at the end. That scene feels like such a good payoff when they finally get to it, and that's one of the things I really love about this show, because it leads to me having conversations with my friends like, "Hey, what's up? Dude, I just saw the season finale of My Little Pony!" "Yeah, what's it about?" "It's about a wedding!" "Uh-huh." "Yeah, Twilight's brother gets married, it's awesome!" "Right, I'm just gonna go watch Shed.move a few more times while you finish washing your vagina." "Okay, sounds like a plan!" Oh, by the way, it's pretty much confirmed that Shed.move would never ever happen now. Yeah, by the way, this scene, holy crap, I was not expecting this at all. And of course, I have to mention the music. Big Brother, Best Friend Forever, This Day Aria, and Love is in Bloom are all great songs. And with Love is in Bloom in particular, I tend to be a bit iffy when it comes to pop songs, but I really like this one because the story leading up to it is incredibly satisfying, and also because it really makes the ending feel like a finale, which I think most fans will agree was missing in season 1. And it just goes to show that you can have cheesy lines like, "My love will give you strength," and you can end on a pop song and have it be really effective. You just have to work to earn those moments, and this episode does. But one thing that I appreciate above all else is how these two-part episodes that feature big boss fights at the end also tend to have the most important life lessons to learn. Previously, we've learned that simply opening yourself up to having friends in the first place can be the most important thing you learn to do, even if you don't understand why at first. We've learned that chaos can sometimes drive you and your friends apart, but that's when you have to fight for your friends the most. And here, we learn one of the hardest lessons of all, that there are false friends and false loves that we have to look out for. Now, it can be tough because they can look just like the real thing, and at times even brainwash us into believing that they are the real thing. But just like the changelings in the episode, a false friend will only drain you of your positive feelings while giving nothing in return. Chrysalis, while disguised as Cadence, is the ultimate example of this as she plans for the wedding while only criticizing everything. She doesn't care about getting along with anyone, she doesn't care about the guy she's about to marry, she really doesn't even care about the details that she's fussing over. The only goal that she has is to dominate every situation that she's in, to build herself up by tearing everything else down. In fact, in that regard, I'm actually really surprised that she even pretended to be nice to Applejack. Originally, I was going to criticize the episode because in the end, the changelings aren't defeated, only pushed back. But as I thought about it, I realized that's the point. These kinds of people are always going to be out there in real life. But by forging genuine, caring relationships and by trusting our instincts when something feels wrong, we can help keep the bad people out of our lives while inviting good people in. In the end, this isn't quite the best episode of the season, but it comes really damn close. There's still some lingering issues that keep this from getting a perfect score, though believe me, what it gets right is almost enough to make me overlook all of that. Almost. A Canterlot Wedding gets a 9.5 out of 10.